yeah, man, it always it always pays to be observant, to understand who's who and your potential threats and your potential, you know what I'm saying, your potential partners. You gotta pay attention to this shit because the potential threats is always gonna end up being potential enemies, which eventually turn into enemies. Because they are here to oppose, that's their job, that's their duty. Everybody can't be on your team and everybody can't like you, and everybody ain't meant to play with you, they're meant to play against you. It's always a versus going on. You is versus you. You know, I and me is always in a battle until there's peace made. But until there's peace made, then guess what? The conflict outside of yourself, the conflict inside of yourself, it exists outside of yourself. So you got to understand that key point right there. Um, it all depends on how the battle's going within. It's going to determine how the battle is going to turn out outside of yourself. So we must always be mindful that we must be watching and learning, because everything that we see, everything that we hear is us. You know what I'm saying? Usually what we don't like is usually the parts of us that we don't like. You know what I'm saying? Usually the people we don't like is parts of us that we don't like, parts of ourselves that we have either did away with or we battle with keeping them, you know, hidden, you know. A lot of times people don't like other people because they're the people that they desire to be. And those people can't help it because, hey, that's just who they are. These people are trying to become, but they know they never will be because they are afraid to die to become that. And like I tell people all the time, when I speak of dying, I'm not talking about a physical death, but some people will experience a physical death if they become that person due to connections they have made. So another topic for another day. So you gotta understand, a lot of your enemies, they ain't true enemies. You know, they've just been programmed to go against you by your true enemies. But to understand how your true enemy thinks, pay attention to the little bitties that has been assigned to you. You know, and you must understand that in order to even get to this point to be able to identify who's with you and who's against you, you have to be able to see past titles. You know, you have to be able to see past titles. You got to be able to see past your old belief systems. So the problem with most people that try to get to the point that I'm speaking of is they have confliction going on because of the belief systems. They're trying to adapt something outside of their norm while trying to hold on to something, and it won't work. You know, that's why most people can never really become Christians, true Christians, because they can't get past the old belief systems. They're afraid to die because they want to be this person, but they still want to be this person. You know, they want to be this person, but they still want to be this person. You know, it's a conflict going on because their ego fails to die. When the mind fails to die, the mind can kill the body, because the body can be telling the mind that it's time to go through a shift, a transition, and the mind can be in resistance. And when the mind is in resistance and the person has no control over the mind, then it takes the body through a lot of bad. We just gonna say it takes the body through a lot of chaos, a lot of war. You know what I'm saying? It takes it, and it gives it no love. It gives it no respect. So it creates illness. You know what I'm saying? It takes the body through a lot of trauma. It takes the body through a lot of everything. And you know, if you ain't, it's like a vehicle. You know, if you don't service and maintenance that vehicle and give it what it needs, but you always mashing it and putting your feet in it, well, eventually it's gonna start smoking, it's gonna start breaking down, it's gonna start doing a lot of things because you're not giving it what it needs. You know, a lot of people don't want to grow up. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why. That's the reason why they're failing. That's the reason why they are still controlled by their old masters, because they're children that never grew up. They're children that never healed. They're children that never, you know, never tried to think outside of the norm. And anytime they have tried to, they fail, and they give up easily. You know, people don't understand that once you trying to become a better person and become something different, you have to go through those transitions, and you have to practice discipline, and you also have to develop a new mindset by going through a lot of pain, because going through transitions, it ain't always peaches and creams. You talking to a nigga that done been through multiple transitions within a range of 5 years. You know what I'm saying? I went through so many transitions these past 5 years that the average person it'll blow their mind. And I went through them fast, especially these last 3 years. So just imagine, you know, well, it ain't technically 3 yet, but it's going on 3. So I went through a lot of transition these past. Yes, it have been 3 years. So we're going on 4 years now. So I went through a lot in these past 3 years, transitions, man. And some of them been good. Some of them been, you know, confused, and it's been crazy. It's been chaotic because, you know, that's just how it is. It's always a war, you know. It's always a war. You know what I'm saying? It makes you understand that war between man and God. You know, it makes you understand that concept of that story on a deeper level once you actually go through the battle, through the war, and make it out with victory. Because most people, they start the war. You know what I'm saying? But the war been going on, but they'll join in on the war. You know, they're finally aware of the war, and they fight a few battles and win, and they think it's over with, and it's like, no, it ain't over with. It's a constant battle. You never stop fighting. You know what I'm saying? You never stop fighting. You win this war, eventually another one starts. So, you know, you get some time in peace, but, you know, eventually, man, it's going to have to be a whole nother war, because it got to be another reset. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just like this outside of ourselves, this simulation that we have that exists outside of ourselves, you know, with how politics is ran. I mean, it's the same thing going on. You know, your mind alone is a politician. You know what I'm saying? Your mind alone is a warrior. You know, it's something. It's something beautiful once you can see what happens. That's why I say war is necessary. War is not a bad thing. At one point, I had a negative perspective of war, and I used to fear war because I always felt like it was pointless. I always felt like it didn't make sense, and I always felt like there could always be peace. But sometimes, man, most of the time, it has to be a war in order for it to be peace. You know what I'm saying? It takes a death of a lot of egos. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people in the process to make the rest, you know what I'm saying, of the living realize that, hey, we got to change these beliefs because too many of us is dying. We got to change these beliefs because too many of us has made it nowhere with these beliefs. We both losing on both sides. So we got to come in the middle and make an agreement and make a way so that we can have peace within ourselves and outside of ourselves as well, within our world that we share. And that's the thing about it. It's the same thing internally. We got to be able to make peace. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, what I mentioned earlier in this video about learning who your enemies are, and studying them, because like I said, your real enemies ain't the ones that's that's really raging war on you outside of you. Like, no, your real enemies, they say I love you. Your real enemies, they do things for you here and there. Your real enemies, they there to listen to all your secrets. Your real enemies, they there to to study you. So the minute that they feel like they got enough on you, that they can become this bomb that explode, and they think it's gonna kill you. But if you study your enemy and you know your enemy, then by the time they explode, you got the shield of God on you. You know what I'm saying? You're protected because you know what they made out of, and you know what it's capable of. So the level of threat that they may have had before, it minimizes. It becomes very small. So, man, you really got to become a tank in order to be able to withstand the blast of the enemy, because they gonna fire their shot. They just waiting for the right time. That's why it pays good to play your role with people and let people play their role. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta really play with the art of war so that you can be able to live and survive and have triumph. Because if you don't, you know what I'm saying, shit, you gonna die here and you gonna stay dead and you gonna belong to the enemy. The enemy gonna have you and not the other way around. But I ain't gonna talk you down. I ain't gonna cap you down like the young folks say. I'm just telling you that you have to study. You have to study your enemy. The enemy always gonna reveal itself. Your enemy always gonna reveal itself. You know what I'm saying? The enemy always gonna be there. Your enemy is always there with you. You know what I'm saying? So when we keep that in mind, we'll understand that we should never get comfortable. Like I said, if your enemy can get into the mind of those that you love, the enemy will get into the minds of those that you love, and they can become compromised with simply just a thought. The enemy ain't got to get him nothing tangible. A lot of times it can just be something intangible, a thought alone, and from there, they'll go all the way. They'll create the situation in their mind. They start going with the other law, evil. You know what I'm saying? They start creating all this shit in their mind. You know what I'm saying? And when they bring it to you, it's gonna be well articulated. It's gonna be already well thought. You know what I'm saying? So by the time they demonstrate, nigga, if you ain't prepared, you gonna fall for the trap. And the last thing you wanna do is get your enemy your energy to feed off of, because your enemy, he needs your energy to feed off of. So, if you don't give the enemy no energy, you'll die. You know what I'm saying? That's why I pay sometimes to not give them anything at all, because they already killing themselves. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can give them something, but you gotta know what to give and how much to give. You know what I'm saying? But anyway though, man, study your enemy while you study yourself. Don't just make your enemy your main focus. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to give your enemy too much of your attention, because then you'll take the attention off yourself. So you gotta be able to study your enemy to see where they getting you at, where they got you at. Then you study yourself. And you go do some study. That way you'll be 3 seconds faster. 3 steps faster, 10 steps faster, 10 seconds faster, 20 steps faster. You know what I'm saying? 20 seconds faster. It's all about greatness with this war. You know what I'm saying? You want to be great. You don't want to be the one that's late to react, late to be prepared. You know what I'm saying? late to perform. You know, you don't want to be that nigga. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you do that, you know, it's a small possibility that you can win the battle. You know what I'm saying? It's a very small possibility, but it's possible. But don't stretch it. You know what I'm saying? And don't. I wouldn't recommend you to test that. You know, I wouldn't recommend you to be that one to not be ready when it's time because you fail. But say, man, hey, man, don't fuck with them lames. Come get the game from a real nigga, man. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you did, church.